Hi class, happy Wednesday. I hope your virtual day is going well so far. Yesterday in one of the classes I had a student ask me for some extra practice. So where do I go if I get it but I want to make sure I fully understand it before I take a quiz or a test? Where can I get some extra practice? This is a great website to go to that I would recommend. It's www.sciencegeek.net. And this teacher obviously teaches other classes than chemistry, but his chemistry resources are really good. If you look at chemistry, under it, there's all sorts of resources. There's old reviews, new reviews. If I go to old reviews, he has it broken down by topic. And this teacher tends to follow a very similar order as me, meaning the units line up pretty perfectly with what we're going to study this year. So what you can do is go to this website, go to Chemistry Old Reviews, and you can choose different subjects that we've studied in class and just get some extra practice. So say you want some extra practice with sig figs, I can click on this, and it's going to bring up maybe some multiple choice questions where I can get some extra practice. I can click on an answer and it tells me right away, am I right or wrong? Okay, so this is a great resource to use for some extra practice, especially if you want to spend some time today or in the future studying content before a quiz or a test. You may even see some quiz and test questions from this website on the test. All right, which brings us to today's lesson. Today's lesson is on dimensional analysis. I am going to assign a little bit of homework, but don't worry too much about getting it done for tomorrow, because after the quiz, you can work on this as well. So if you want to work ahead and work on it for tonight, that's fine. But you can also save it for after the quiz tomorrow and do it then. It's a concept that we've already kind of been studying because we've been using this method to convert within the metric system. Okay? It's called dimensional analysis. And we have worksheet 1.5 that we're going to do a couple examples from today, and I'm going to assign a few problems for tonight or tomorrow. So 1.6 on the are numbers 1 through 6 on the front and numbers 1 through 8 on the back of worksheet 1.5 are what we're going to cover today. So when we're done with this lesson, hopefully you understand dimensional analysis a little bit better and can start using it to convert between units. Now, what is this used for on a daily basis beyond chemistry? To convert. Say I want to figure out for some reason, okay, or maybe I'm counting my coin jar and I count the number of nickels instead of counting by 5. So I want to figure out how many dollars 25 nickels equal, because I have 25 nickels in a jar. What I can do is I can use converting, okay, to figure that out. I know there's 20 nickels in a dollar, so what I can do is I can convert from nickels to dollars using a conversion factor. This 20 nickels equals a dollar is a conversion factor. Where I'm coming from, nickels goes on bottom. What I'm going to, dollars, goes on top. So in this case, I would take 25. Remember, the number other than 1, if it's on bottom, I divide. So I take 25 divided by 20 equals $1.5. The unit nickels cancels, and I'm left with dollars. I don't really need to worry about doing anything with this one because it's on top. If you want to multiply by 1, that would be fine, but it's not going to change your answer. Okay, so this is what we're going to do today, and it should look familiar because we've been using this same method with the metric system, converting within the metric system. Now we're applying it to other things, and we're going to continue to apply this to all sorts of chemistry problems this year. So I want you to really understand the method of dimensional analysis and how we can use it in other ways. Okay? Now this isn't lined up perfectly, but dimensional analysis uses conversion factors to convert between units. In this case, 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. Therefore, I can set up a conversion factor going from centimeters to inches or inches to centimeters. Now, these two should be moved over a little bit, but hopefully you can see the picture. 1 inch over 2.5 centimeters is a conversion factor that can be used to take me from centimeters to inches. So like I said, our key term for today is conversion factor. It allows me to go from one unit to another. Where I'm coming from, what I'm starting at goes on bottom. What I'm going to goes on top. So in this case, I wanted to convert inches to feet. I know 1 foot equals 12 inches. Therefore, inches goes on bottom. Feet goes on top. Okay? All right. So in general, it's always going to be this same setup. You have some given unit that you're starting at. You multiply by a conversion factor where the given unit that you're starting with goes on bottom. The desired unit that you're going to goes on top. I multiply, the units cancel, and I'm left with my desired unit. Okay? Let's look at an example problem. Your boss asks you to pick up 2 dozen donuts. You get to the store, and for some reason, this is a unique bakery, they only sell donuts on an individual basis. So you need to figure out how many donuts you need. Okay? Most of us can do this in our head, right? 2 dozen equals 24. But what if I want to set it up for the process of showing dimensional analysis? Well, I know 1 dozen equals 12 donuts. That is a conversion factor, which can take me from dozen to donuts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up this problem. I want to convert 2 dozen, to individual donuts. My conversion factor is what I'm multiplying by, with the unit that I'm starting at, dozen, going on bottom, the unit that I'm going to, donuts, going on top. So in this case, ask yourself, would I multiply or divide? Hopefully, you multiply. Again, the number other than 1 is on top, so I multiply. 2 times 12 equals 24, as long as it's not a baker's dozen. All right. Now, where could this be used elsewhere besides figuring out how many donuts are in 2 dozen? Let's say you're traveling. You're in Mexico and you come across a purse that you really like for 250 pesos. You only have dollars. Again, you have a problem. You need to convert dollars to pesos. So how do I set up this problem? Well, I know, okay, 13.2 pesos equals $1, okay? So what I can do is I can convert 250 pesos to dollar using this conversion factor. So I start with 250. I multiply by my conversion factor with where I'm coming from, pesos, on bottom, what I'm going to, dollars, on top. Pesos cancels, and I get my answer. Here you should ask yourself, do I divide or multiply? Hopefully the answer, divide, because it's on bottom. And that's going to be approximately 18.94. So you could know that it costs about $18 or $20 in your currency. So you can estimate kind of, is it worth it or not? All right? All right. Why don't you pause the video and try doing this? The moon is 250,000 miles away. How many feet is it from the earth? So I'm going from miles to feet. Okay? So I'm starting at 250,000 miles. The conversion factor I'm given is 1 mile equals 5,280 feet. Where does miles go? On bottom, because that's the unit that I'm starting with. Where does feet go? On top, because that's the unit that I'm going to. Miles cancels, and I'm left with feet. Now, do I multiply or divide here? Hopefully, again, you're focusing on the number other than 1. 5,280 is on top. I can ignore the 1 on bottom. Therefore, I multiply and get this long answer, which I wrote in scientific notation as the directions told me to, 1.32 times 10 to the 9th. All right. On your homework worksheet 1.5. Okay, so I got a little ahead of myself and I forgot to hide this for now, but let's just talk about it together. How many nickels are in $6.50? So my starting point is $6.50. I know 20 nickels are in $1. That is my conversion factor. Where I'm coming from, dollars goes on bottom. When I'm going to, nickels goes on top. So in this case, do I multiply or divide? Multiply. The number other than 1 is on top. Therefore, I multiply. Dollars cancels, and I'm left with 130 nickels. Okay? The front of 1.5 some basic one-step dimensional analysis problems. If you have any questions on that, please, please, please let me know. Why don't you try number 4? How many dollars are in 460 pennies? Pause the video and try. All right, I'm starting with 460 pennies. I know there's 100 pennies in a dollar. Therefore, 100 pennies goes on bottom, $1 goes on top. I'm converting from pennies to dollars. So here I divide because the number other than 1 is on bottom, and I get an answer of 130. Whoa. Sorry about that, I had the wrong answer. So I'm starting with 460 pennies. I divide by 100. How many dollars do I get after pennies cancels? $4.60. Okay. All right, I would flip 1.5 over to the back, and we're going to apply this to measurements. A lot like we already have, but we're going to use other measurements besides just the metric system that we've been working with. Okay. Now I'm asking you to do numbers 1 through 8. We're going to do 3 problems here. Number 1, I'm going from meters to centimeters. And notice there should be some white space on the bottom where you can show your work. Please show your work for all of these problems on worksheet 1.5, front and back. Please show your work. So I'm starting at 12 meters. I'm going from meters to centimeters. I can use the conversion factors found on this worksheet or on my note guide, okay, to convert from meters to centimeters, okay? On this sheet, I think I have the conversion factor listed for you. 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. You could use the other conversion sheet as well. It's up to you. These numbers are also found there. So I take 12 meters times 100. What do I get? 1,200 centimeters. This is what we've already been doing. You're getting a quiz on it tomorrow, so hopefully a nice refresher course for you and some extra practice. All right, you try number 3. All right, on number 3, I'm starting with 1.06 liters using my conversion diagram from that we've been using. I know 1 liter goes on bottom, 1,000 milliliters would go on top. Here I multiply, and I get 1,060 milliliters. All right, number 6. Number 6 might cause some issues because if I look up on top of the sheet where some conversion factors are given, I don't see a direct conversion from feet to centimeters. So I'm going to take some problem solving. And this is going to be an introduction to a 2-step problem, which I don't think there's any more. I'd have to look. But most of the problems that I'm assigning are 1-step. But here's a good example of a 2-step problem. Let's do it together. I'm starting at 43 feet. And I can go first from feet to inches. And then I can go from inches to centimeters. These conversions are given to me or I know. Hopefully you know there's 12 inches in a foot. This takes me from feet to inches. Where I'm coming from goes on bottom. What I'm going to goes on top. Then I go from inches to centimeters. 1 inch would go on bottom. 2.54 centimeters goes on top. I find that on my conversions on the top of the sheet. So in this case, I'm going to have to do 2 steps. I'm going to have to take 43 times 12 and then times 2.54. And what I get here is 1310.6. I'm not worrying about sig figs. I'm just worrying about am I getting the right answer. The ones on bottom, you could divide by 1, but again, that's not going to change your answers. All right, let's try one more. Number 8. I'm going from 32 gallons to quarts. Look on top of the sheet, see if there's a conversion from gallons to quarts, and try to solve. All right, I'm starting at 32 gallons. What goes on bottom? Gallons. That's where I'm coming from. What goes on top? Quarts. If I look up top, it tells me 1 gallon equals 4 quarts. Therefore, I have my conversion factor to go directly from gallons to quarts. I take 32 times 4, and what I get is 128 quarts. Okay, so like what I said, try to do the front of 1.5 and then numbers 1 through 8. We just did a few of those on the back. We'll practice this some more after the quiz and especially on Friday. Make sure you're turning in your homework, worksheet 1.1 through 1.4. Practice turning in those assignments with your photos. And if you have any issues or questions, please reach out. We can always Zoom today to get some extra help if you need it. Okay? Good luck. That's today's lesson.